So we're back on this 68 Jeep Gladiator. We got a good box, or kind of a good box. It's the best one we could find. We've got this whole box has been body worked. It was in pretty rough shape. These lines here, how this one's angled this way, this one's angled this way, this one's angled this way, these are really tricky. I used a lot of the poly paint stick blocks in here to get this. You know, this is about 3/4 of an inch wide here, and I used a lot of the poly paint stick blocks. I used a lot of 32-inch rigid throughout here. I used the round part of the 32-inch rigid up here for this convex area. Again, a lot of 18 to 24-inch rigids, 12-inch rigids, mostly rigid blocks on this here box. We are going to be using VP2050 on this. We have the black primer you can see on here is DPLV90. It's black epoxy. We put that on there quite a long time ago just to seal it up so we could get in line to get worked on. But if you notice, there is some burn throughs to metal, and I get some questions about that, you know, how do you not put filler over metal when you get a burn through, things like that. Well, as you can see, most of these are burned through, but they're burned through to metal. There's metal, there's epoxy, and then filler. And just about everywhere you can see that is the case. Where there's metal, there's a ring of epoxy, and then you get into the filler. This is the first round of filler work, and I probably will end up repriming these lines again, just because they're so tricky and long and straight. This is a 8 foot long, 3/4 inch wide line, and there's 1, 2, 3 of them on each side, and it's gonna be a little tricky to get them straight, but we'll get her. All right, today when I'm spraying this, I'm gonna be using this Eco HSE from the spray source. This is the linear edition. You see the linear on there. I like this. This is a 1.6 gun. I really like this gun for spraying 2050. It sprays 2050 really nice out of a 1.6. These are available from a 1.3 up to a 1.6 from the spray source. We're also going to be using our fisheye filter, and later in the video we'll take that apart and we'll show you what it's catching. Even though we've got refrigerated air dryer and 2 3-stage filters into the booth here, we're still getting little microparticles. That little filter will filter down to 0.85 microns and flow. I believe it's about 14 CFM at 90, so there's plenty of flow there. It's not super restrictive like a normal bulb filter. So with the VP2050, the reason I like to use that primer is this right here. If you go on YouTube, on our YouTube channel, you can find there's a couple videos where we did some shrink tests of different primers, and these are kind of the results. We weighed, each panel was roughly 12 by 12. We weighed each panel wet and then continuously weighed it to see how much weight it lost. And as you can see, we have wet mill thicknesses. We're still going to do dry film build tests. This was probably 3 months ago or so that we did this test. I want to give it a good long while before I do dry film build tests, and I'm also going to weigh them again to see if they've lost anything from the 14 days onto the 3 months, because most of these products had either stopped losing weight or just about stopped losing weight within 2 weeks. VP2050 actually was within about 4 to 5 days stopped losing weight completely. We did the VP2050, we did Tamco HB5310, we did Squeege's high build epoxy, and a Spies 2K urethane primer that got kind of thrown in the mix by a customer. So you can see the difference in a hybrid primer or a high build epoxy versus a 2K urethane wet film build, and also the amount of weight they lose. You know, that lost 12 grams in 2 weeks. This lost almost 3, and within 4 days. So a little bit about 2050. Check out the primer shrink test videos on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, etc. So a little trick for guide coat. Some of you that watch my videos regularly probably have seen me do this. Some of you maybe haven't. So when you prime, you've usually got a little bit of primer left over in the gun after you've got, say, 3 coats on everything. What I like to do is take a little black base and just put a little bit of black base in there to darken it up. We're gonna shake it up, and I'm basically just gonna dust this over my wet primer that I have right now. And that's gonna basically give me a guide coat, but more of a permanent guide coat that doesn't rub off. You're gonna have to actually sand it off, whereas the powder, if you put powder guide coat on and you wipe it or you blow it with a blowgun, a lot of it comes back off. This is kind of my answer to that. Alright, I'm going to open up this fisheye filter here and I'll show you, see if we got any particulates or anything in here. Kind of hard to do with one hand while I hold the camera. There we go. You can see those little brown specks in there is probably oil or some sort of particulate, but you can see there's plenty of things that this is catching, even that our 2-3 stage filters and our refrigerated air dryer and all our other air filtration is not catching. This could be hose deterioration, this could be many different things, but if it wasn't for this filter, this would be in my gun and in my paint jobs. I've had this filter for probably, I don't know, maybe a month or so. I've been using this filter element. The housing is lifetime warranted. You just change the filter element when you need to. Recommend every 30 days or so, and I'm about due. So that is what a fisheye filter will do.